Hi, my name is Lillian Purdom. I am a 16-year-old aspiring student pilot. My love of flying began when I was about 5 years old. I would look up in the sky and I would see all the airplanes and helicopters going by, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. I always wanted to go in one, but that didn't happen until a long time later. When I was about 10 years old, we took a trip, my family and I, to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we flew with Southwest Airlines. I was very scared at first because I had never been in an airplane, never been up in the sky. But when I got on the airplane and we started taking off, I looked out the window once we were above the clouds, and it was the most beautiful thing ever. The sun was shining off of the clouds and it was very pretty. Fast forward to about my 8th grade year of middle school. This was the year in which I was about to go into high school, so I needed to choose courses that would advance me in my career. I had no direction as to what I wanted to do. So I prayed because I believe that God knows exactly what I need to do in my life. I prayed and asked him, God, do I need to be a doctor? Do I need to be a lawyer? What do you want me to do? And he said, I want you to be a pilot. One day in the car, he gave me a revelation, and I looked at my mom and went, Mom, I could be a pilot. And she said, yes, that sounds like something you could totally do. I bet you would be really good at that. So it happened. About a week later, my 8th grade class took a field trip to the Love Field Airport in Dallas to the Frontiers of Flight Museum. We saw a bunch of different airplanes. We saw the Flying Pancake, we saw antique helicopters, biplanes, antique warplanes, antique bombers, many different types of airplanes, and anything that had to do with aviation, it was there. And it was the most amazing thing ever. I loved looking at all of those antique planes. Also around that time, pilot Tammy Jo Schultz landed a Southwest Airlines plane in an emergency. My mom told me that I reminded her of Tammy Jo Schultz and that I could definitely do something like she did, that in an emergency I knew exactly what to do and that I could do it. That gave me the motivation I needed to start flying. About a week later, we got the contact information for a CFI in town. He said that he wanted me to come out to the airport to do a discovery flight. So we went out to the airport and he said, you're gonna fly this airplane that I'm about to put you in because you need to see if this is something you want to do. So I thought he was going to put me right seat as the co-pilot. He put me left seat, which actually scared me a lot. But he assured me that he was going to help me and that he was going to guide me through whatever I needed to do to take off and land. So we taxied out to the runway and he said, I'm going to tell you when to put in full throttle and I'm going to tell you when to pull up. We taxied out onto the runway and he said put in full throttle, so I pushed the throttle all the way in, and at the time I didn't know what right rudder was, so he pushed it in for me so that we would stay in the center of the runway. Then he said pull up and I pulled back on the yoke and we lifted off the ground. We only went up to the traffic pattern altitude, but still, the few minutes I was in the airplane flying above the earth, it was amazing. It's a whole different world up in the sky, and I really thought it was the coolest thing ever. I knew at that moment that this is exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, that I wanted to fly airplanes and defy gravity for a living. 23 flight hours later, I was receiving some setbacks. I wasn't as far along in my training as I should have known. I knew things, but not enough. And I still hadn't soloed, and I was feeling very discouraged. So I prayed again to God and asked him if this is really what he wanted me to do. And about a week later, I met a lady. She is a female pilot, and she is so smart. She knows exactly what she's doing, and she is so competent at everything she does. She took me down to her hangar one day to meet a CFI that she worked with. I met the CFI and I talked to him a bit, and he was very down to earth and he knew exactly what he was doing. Immediately the CFI knew what I needed to become a successful pilot. He started helping me to gain ground in what I needed to know. I began a new ground school and I began flying with him. I can honestly say that I have gotten my passion back and that it's so much more fun and I have gained so much more knowledge than I was before. However, I found out that I do need to be flying more than I have been. The scholarship would really help me and I would really appreciate it.